Welcome to Lesson 2 in Unit 6, Mastering Mimicry. In this lesson, students will work to answer the question, what biomimicry ideas can we get from plant parts on sprouts? In this lesson, students investigate plant parts by planting seeds to germinate sprouts and digging up plants from the schoolyard. They identify the stem, leaves, and roots of each seedling and think about how these structures help plants and how they might be used as inspiration for human inventions. Students figure out seeds of the same kind grow plants of the same kind, and that the plants are similar but not identical. Sprouts come from seeds, and the first parts they grow are roots, stems, and leaves. Each of these plant parts has an important job. Students make connections to the storyline by investigating roots, stems, and leaves, and thinking about how inspiration from these plant parts might be used to inspire human inventions. There are several opportunities for ELA and math cross-curricular connections throughout the lesson. You can look for specific standard connections in the Unit 6 Teacher Guide. This lesson will take approximately 5 to 6 days to complete. To begin the engage portion of the lesson, you'll ask students what they've already figured out about seeds. You'll then replay the germination of a seed time-lapse for students and ask questions about plant parts as seeds grow. You'll revisit the driving question board to add new questions and highlight any other questions connected to the learning goals of this lesson by calling attention to questions about the function of roots, stems, and leaves. You'll be having students plant seeds for this lesson. You'll have students use their Investigating Sprouts student journal page to draw their observations about the sprouts and their investigation setup. Use the Sprouts Investigations, Seed Planting and Sprout Growth instructions to prepare the materials and carry out the investigations. The procedure is also listed on the slides and slide notes. There is a teacher tutorial showing how to set up this investigation. Note that the sprouts may take up to 10 days to grow. During the Engage, students will only complete the first part of the investigation. Students will observe the seeds start to sprout over the next 10 days. As the plants sprout and grow from the Engage, you'll have students continue to use their Plant Growth Observations student journal page to record observations each day. For the Explore portion, you'll set up the Roots investigation. You will complete the Roots investigation while students continue to make observations of their sprouts from the Engage. There are two parts to this investigation. For the first part of the Roots investigation, you'll have students use their Roots Observations student journal page to draw their observations from digging up and examining the roots of weeds. For the second part of the investigation, Watering Roots, you'll set up a demo to show how the roots of a plant absorb water. In the Explain portion of the lesson, students will engage in a class discussion to analyze their observations about plant parts. Use the provided questions to guide your discussion around the question, what biomimicry ideas can we get from the plant parts on sprouts? The goal of this class discussion is to analyze student data from growing the seedlings and identify plant parts and their functions. You will use the discussion to create the Lesson 2 summary chart. From the discussion, students should understand that stems can hold up a structure, leaves could be used as a cover, and roots could hold something to the ground. During the discussion, you'll post and discuss the pattern vocabulary card. You'll introduce the book Plants Can't Sit Still. You'll use the Read Aloud guide to ask questions while reading. You'll have students make connections between the plant parts they observed and the plant parts in the story, and how the parts are helping the plants in the book. You can post and discuss the stem, leaves, and roots vocabulary cards. For the Elaborate portion, you'll remind students of the anchoring phenomenon that plants are problem solvers. You'll show students the clips of leaves repelling water and ask questions about what they see and how this could solve a problem. You'll then show students the clips of fabric repelling water and explain that people have mimicked the waxy, smooth texture of leaves to create waterproof clothing. You'll also show examples of biomimicry inspired by stems and roots. You'll ask students if there are any other biomimicry ideas that could be inspired by leaves, stems, or roots, and invite them to pair share to brainstorm. For the evaluate portion, you'll have students work in pairs to label a picture of a plant getting what it needs to survive in the Plant Part Functions student journal page. To support student sense-making across the unit, orient them back to the driving question board. Ask, what did we learn about sprouts? What biomimicry ideas can we get from the plant parts on sprouts? What questions do we still have about plants and their parts? By the end of this lesson, students will have made observations of a plant's roots, stem, and leaves to explain how their structure and function can be used as inspiration to solve a problem. In Lesson 3, students will investigate the structure and function of flowers to connect to human inventions. For the optional Extend, you'll show students the image of a maple tree in each season. You'll have them make observations and compare the leaves on each tree. You'll then have students turn and talk to come up with a prediction or an explanation of why trees change their leaves throughout the year. You'll then show students the pictograph that illustrates how the amount of sunlight changes throughout the year and make connections to the number of daylight hours and the leaves on the maple trees. For more information about this unit, visit myscipartners.com.